Thanks, isoc-hk, and it's a great honor to be here again in this very important moment, because today we're going to launch a worldwide IPv6. So it's also very interesting. We had Jeff share his big question, right? How we solve this problem, and even for the great mind like Jeff, he still struggle try to figure out the solution. And we have the Michael and Xin Li talk about their experience from the real production network management and try to solve the solution from their daily life. So me as a solution provider, and I'm focused on the next 2 years because I'm working for the CTO office, try to figure out the strategy, how to help our customer from all the ecosystem. And now, we sort of, in the last speaker, try to answer the big question posed by the Jeff. It's a pretty big challenge, but I will try to say I can provide some sort of the suggestion and some of the research we have been done to give you some idea what's possible scenario we're going to face in. So my topic of the speak is transition to IPv6, our new internet protocol. I want to emphasize it's our, because this World IPv6 launch is not, the Hong Kong launch or ISP launch or, the Cisco solution launch. We share the same problem. Internet is our internet, right? So that's why it's so important in this moment. I think it's, we will remember this day because in the human civilization, when we next 10 or 20 years we were looking back, I think this is a really important day, and we were there, right? So we currently in Hong Kong. I will take the Jeff's pattern there, right? Just take a look about the internet. We all witness the incredible growth of the internet in the past 30 years. And the people talking about in next 8 years, the device connect to the internet going to reach to the 15 billion to the 1 trillion. That's a huge number of the device connect into one internet. I think we need to think about what's the key reason for the past 30 years, especially last 5 years. We see the dramatically new device connect to this one network. Jeff mentioned about, after iPhone come up, each year there is 300 million new devices connect to the internet. The reason is, in the history of the human civilization, first time, by accident or by whatever reason, we find one network language. We can converge all different networks. And Jeff talked about we used to have a lot of network, from the SP to the enterprise. For instance, for the SP, we have PSTN, that's a public servers for voice. We have SS7, we have ISDN, and we have 25 ATM for relay for the data servers. And for enterprise, we also have a lot of network. Right? Each were fragmented, but each use their own language called, IBM have the SNA, and DEC have the DNA, and even Apple have an Apple Talk. And 20 years ago, all enterprise use Nowhere to do the file sharing. And we have the Synoptical, we have a Veriflix, a lot of the network. Until we find out we can use the IP to connect or converge all network all together to become the one network. That's the moment the magic happened. Because we start with IP for the data, right, for the PC. Then we penetrate to the voice, to the SP domain. It's very hard to penetrate. We have the voice IP or IP phone. Then we penetrate the video, right? So then we have an IPTV for the TV. And the video traffic dominated the internet, right? Something like 80 to the 90% of the traffic. So we measure internet grow in that way. Then we penetrate the mobile. when iPhone come out, we really experience the mobile internet, all right? So we see a lot of devices connect to the internet. So we call it the mobile internet. Now the people thinking about, we need to continue penetrate to the other territory, to the industry, to the operation technology, to the technology domain, whatever which is electronic based, which can be connected in the network. We will use one internet protocol, one language, which we call the IP. So that's the reason we need to always remember, because we have a one network, language, so we can glue everything together. Then we have a power of our network. Network becomes the platform. So that's the reason we have been incredibly success growth. And let's give you a little bit data. I thought it's very important to help us to understand the future, especially in next 2 to 5 years. Cisco, we did the research. Just how we measure the growth of the internet. One way we definitely measure it by, the bandwidth, megabit, terabit, petabyte, how fat the pipe gonna be. I think another one, we should measure it by number of the device. Assuming all the devices will connect to the same one network. So this is a number we have been doing a lot of research. We come up. I think this number, this research done by 2010. So if you look at that, from the 2001 to the 2003, we sort of from the 300 million device to the 500 million device per person. If we use the the world population, it's about like 100 people. We have 8 devices connected to this converged network. Then if you look at the 2010, it's average per population, right? It's almost per person, we have 2 devices connected to this internet. So that's why the people so optimistically predict to the 2015 or 2020, per person, we're going to have 3 to 7 devices, all connect to the one internet. So if that's true, we will see at least, based on the 2010 data, we will see at least 5 times to another 100 times growth for this internet. So that's something we need to remember when we think about the IPv6 transition. And because of that, Internet of Things is very hard in China since the government used that terminology from the top. So everybody uses Internet of Things and to sort of the beating for the project. If you use this metric, you find out after 2009, the number of the devices connected to the internet more than population. So we actually treat that moment as a critical moment. The phenomenon of the Internet of Things actually happened. Otherwise, you will see a lot of definition, you were confused, right? Because everything associated with thing, people basically use Internet of Things as a terminology. So that's the moment. That's the way we metric that. So I thought it's very interesting we did that. The dilemma is very clear. The IPv4 address, the language we use, right, only have a 32-bit. They can only, theoretically, only support the 4 billion devices all connected to the internet. And now we have something, now we are 2012, we have something like a 13 or 15 billion devices. So we don't know exactly number, but just based on the prediction of the past 2 years, right? So something like 15 billion. Assuming we use a 15 billion, even that number means we have a 3 times of the device already connect to the internet, but we only have less than 5 billion address space. So we have a 4 billion. But if you think about a lot of people still holding address, didn't use it, right? So it's probably the 3 times or 5 times more device already connect this one network with very limited address space. So that's the reality. We will say if we use the same mechanism, we'll see a lot of problems, right? Because even when we have a mobile internet, we have a smartphone. Since each device sharing the IP address with a lot of other devices, so that means each device only have a limit capability of the intelligent IP network can provide. So even you call it a smart device, actually it's a limited capacity of the internet. So when you remember that, the people probably don't find it that. But in a matter of fact, this sharing technology gonna create the problem sooner or later. Especially if we project, in another 8 years, we're gonna have 5 to the 100 times device connect to this one network. So that's the reason people why say we need to move to the IPv6, because otherwise we will have a more and more problem. Because when you have a more device connect to the internet, that means the more device share the limited the resource. Each device or each smartphone, they only have a limited capability. So that internet, we have a two names for them. One is internet is going to become more constrained internet, or we're going to have a full spectrum internet. So we always need to remember. So now with more device connect, you probably won't get a lot of the smart or full spectrum of the internet can provide you. So we're already there. So that's a problem. And another way, definitely, the value and the power and the possibility of the internet innovation for the full spectrum of the internet, what we call our new internet protocol, our new network language. So that's the point I try to get across. So the previous speaker, or everybody knows, it's not easy journey, right? So we have a lot of problem, and so far we made a lot of effort, but we still don't see the clear vision or clear the path so we can get there. I think it's very important we need all work together to build the bridge to that full spectrum internet. And people talking about the multi-year, multi-phase plan and the solution, right? So we need to do a little bit deeper investigation to do a more analysis, try to answer some of the questions Jeff have been, pop up, right? So do we have the possibility with so many effort put in and so many pioneer and leading this effort, what else we need to do, right? So that's something we need to think about, and we need to, give people a direction. So what we believe, for the next 2 to 5 years or 7 years to 8 years, we will see the 3 stages to go through the journey to get the full spectrum of the internet. What we call the prepare stage, what we call the preserve stage, and the prepare stage, and the prosper stage. As I mentioned, so now we already have 15 billion devices connect to the one network, what we call the internet, which only provide you like a 3 billion address. So that's why, in reality, economical principle tell the SP, tell everybody, say, hey, you need to preserve whatever possible to continue offer the service, continue maintain the growth of the internet. So if you look at the SP, their behavior, basically it's very simple, right? Servers and customers stay IPv4, right? So then try to use the translation to release some of the running out pressure and challenge. And that's why we say, 6RD technology has been popular in some country, because fundamentally, they still maintain the one network. That's the key. That's very key. I agree with Xin Li talk about this one network importance for the internet. And we do have some do that, right? Because I agree, the Xin Li gave a very good sort of the evaluation from their experience. Why people think about DoStack and why it's possible going to provide the solution, but the experience is not so great. We do see some of the do that. But I don't think it's the transition strategy will help us. So, but this is reality. So we do see people buy a lot of the CGN. Even people don't like it, especially people try to protect or try to maintain the full spectrum of the internet. The die-hard IPv6 people hate the carrier grade net. But the reality is a lot of devices, especially mobile devices. Jeff talked about each year is more than 300 million subscribers. All the subscribers in the mobile device, right, from the mobile SP, they probably use some net. And we know they use, and we see the customer have been buying the CGN. And but we also need to push to IPv6. I think there is a stage what we call the prepare. So basically, you see the SP already find out, right? French, Free, and AT&T, as well as the China Telecom. Why? Because they fear the pain. From the whole ecosystem, the SP is the first line to feel the pain because they are responsible to assign the IP address to their subscriber. In order to maintain the growth of this new connected device, they need IP address. So the only way they will figure out we need IPv6. That's why they have been doing a lot of research and try to find a way to go to the IPv6. So I think the SP is in the line and agree with the industry with the IPv6 direction. And enterprise, Cisco has been providing a solution for IT and network infrastructure to enterprise. We have the enterprise, what we call the technology and advisor board. So we basically service them, right? So how do what's your idea about IPv6? Do you have a plan? So if you look at the 2010, and last year we did a survey, you see the dramatic change. The attitude is different. 2010, we only have there is like almost half of the big enterprise we have been working for, they don't have any plan. Now it's only 25%. So, and the people starting planning IPv6 for the in the 1 year plan, the almost double, right? So I think the enterprise also, they all prepare. So I think there is a momentum. Even in the enterprise domain, there is a multiple option for them to consider, but this is something they are going to working for this. We know the content is very important. That's why the IPv6 Day we had last year, as well as the World IPv6 Launch is so important. And I know if you measure by how many content in the internet, so the IPv6 enable ISP probably very small number of the total ISP, right? Measured by the domain name, because we have so many internet service provider and so many applications running over the internet. But the content provider take a leadership, push the internet to go to IPv6 by enable their website to fully seamlessly support the IPv6 is very important, especially the four of the leaders, right? The Facebook, Google, Yahoo, and YouTube. Why? Because total traffic of these four, almost 80% of the total traffic of the internet. So that's why event like the IPv6 Day, like today, the World IPv6 Launch is so important because we need to encourage content to enable IPv6 as soon as possible. Without their leadership, we were running into the shooting on the dark, right? So we don't have a direction. From vendor, from us, definitely. So from the top CEO, we know how important IPv6 for the industry. So look at John Chambers, he made a commitment, on behalf of Cisco, right? Because this is a matter of the internet growth. Because for next 3 to 8 years, we're going to take another, the 10 times or 50 times or 100 times growth of the internet. So I think there is no question about that. So when you see the prepare, right, what we see the customer already starting basically build a small IPv6. And they still have, have to deal with all of the net. So the question, I think the big question is, how about after 2 years? I think that's exactly the problem that Jeff sort of popped up, right? People don't know Even right now, we have our IPv6 day, we have our IPv6 launch, then sounds like a lot of leader from the web interface already IPv6 enabled, but if you measure by traffic of the total IPv6 over the internet, it's still 1%, 5%. So people worry about, in next 2 years, if we still have this kind of the traffic, the people were more frustrated. So this is a question. So, after people prepare, what's next big step the service provider, the entire industry should move to? A lot of people thinking we need to build up the dual stack approach. This is a very popular strategy. I mean, from a lot of the internet veterans. And their slogan basically say, hey, turn on the IPv6 in dual stack mode, whatever possible. That's going to solve the problem. So basically, build up the IPv6 and the IPv4, sort of the dual stack, two language sort of network. Another proposal, just like Shen Li talked about, no, we need a one network. One network is the key reason for internet success. So if you need to, sort of the growth of your business, build a one network, IPv6 network. So we talk with a lot of customers, ISP and content. And I personally talked with Shen Li about 5 or 6 years ago when he had this struggle then, right? So we did a lot of analysis. That's why, all the Shen Li's job, I'm very familiar with this and sort of work out with a lot of the work together, try to push this idea. After we talk with the more service provider, because service provider now have a plan, right? Now you sort of the design their plan. They like to talk with us. Then we find out dual stack approach everywhere does have a problem. The reason is you need to pay the dual stack tax. What's the dual stack tax? The people are going to ask. Because you run in two networks. You manage your provisioning two networks. You need a software support two networks. So you need a license or contract to support that. Most important, because you don't have the IPv4 address, dual stack strategy need a lot of CGN. Need to continue buy a lot of CGN. That's a fundamental problem, what I say. Because it's not just the CGN, right? CGN already, people say, oh, there is a lot of problem broken the end-to-end. But dual stack, in the metric, in the access network, you have all the CGN problem. You have extra problem over that. And sometimes you don't provide incentive for IPv6. And think about that. If the subscriber have a dual stack servers, if the dual stack messed up, who he gonna call? And who gonna be responsible to do the troubleshooting? You add a lot of the troubleshooting factor because it's an application or CPE or access, or it's just the cost of the OPEX. So that's why the one network IPv6 approach make a lot of sense because, definitely service provider like it and it's promote IPv6. So that's a key point. People will say, no, I think the IPv6 only network probably far away. It's probably 10 years or 20 years away. So we spend a lot of time to do research, to partner with a third-party consultant firm. Based on the number we have, try to figure this out. This is something we did with IDC. I don't think we released the full research documentation yet. I can share with some of them with you right now. So basically, as Jeff said, if you do the address, IPv4 address trading, the cost is going to go up very dramatically. So that's probably very risky option. Then you do a lot of sharing, right? It's a constrained internet. Right now, sharing, why is sharing so popular? Because it's simple. You just buy one device, solve your address shortage problem. And build IPv6, it's pretty cost right now. But our calculation, based on next 5 years, if you do the next 2 years, probably continue with the CGN build up, then you think about so many devices. Each year, more than 500 million devices connect to the internet. Then something change. Because after 2 years, you will say the line is in after cross point. Because the CGN cost got much more than the IPv6 only. So we did a little little bit thorough investigation based on number available. We find out for the 5-year time frame, if they, they have some of the CGN, then if the another 3 years is starting with IPv6 only, so the total cost of a 5-year plan gonna be only 70% of the total cost if you just continue dual stack all the CGN. So there is business case. We finally find out. Then people also say, there is a problem if you don't use the translation because you're broken end-to-end application problem. That's true. We also did a lot of the testing and also working with some of the service provider. We find out, this is a mobile device, in the smartphone, right? We find out 85% work right now by using translation. And only 15% application have problem. That's normally involved with application like a voice real time, those kind of the embedded IP address in application level. So that's a problem. So, but it sounds like we still have time, right? We still have a 2 year or 3 year. So if you think about this is not the way to go, it's not true. Because a lot of the mobile device, in the next 2 years, they will move to the LTE. When they move to the LTE, they will have a new mobile phone. So very likely, they will move to IPv6 because from the calculation we have there, they need to add a lot of the device in the network. IPv6 will save them more than if they continue dual stack or continue with a NAT. So that's the reason we are a little bit optimism about the IPv6 only path. Because you can get full spectrum of the internet. And you can bypass the CGN. It's very cost. And you can probably bypass the dual stack. You don't need to pay that tax. And we do have a problem. But that problem only 15%. So 85% already done. So given time, next 2 years, so a lot of the new deployment for the network, especially in the mobile internet domain. So we think this is probably the first time we, through the investigation as well as talking with the ISP, there is a possibility we find out the business case for the people move forward for the IPv6 only network. That's the reason I echo the Professor Lee, their experience about the dual stack two network problem. Because now we find out there is more ISP thinking, if we build the dual stack, access, and metro network, there are a lot of the OPAC issues associated. And we need to continue to buy CGN, which when you have so many devices, measured by the 500 million per year, to the point the complexity is so big, the OPAC, everything associated with is so hard. So they will move to IPv6. That's why it's so important for us to maintain the one network from IPv4 to the IPv6 one network strategy. Bypass CGN, bypass the dual stack. I'm not talking about, just don't use any dual stack as a tool. So I think that for the web, for the internet web, content provider, they enable IPv6, they definitely help the whole ecosystem. But for the ISP, I think, Jeff, the question is access network, metro network. That's the problem, because if you don't have that, you cannot access the content already in the IPv6. I think there is a possibility. In another 2 or 3 years, they will move to the IPv6 only. There is business case for that. So this is the last slide I have. So I think we all witness the momentum of the IPv6 launch, and encourage everybody join the launch. It's our new internet protocol, new language. It's our business, all of us. We need to fix that 15%. And when you talk to the content, to the application provider, fix that problem. Then the strategy probably still stick with one network strategy. In that way, we probably can finally get to the IPv6 in less than 10 years. I agree with Jeff. 10 years, 20 years, that's going to make us more confused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yin. We will now proceed to the next session, the panel discussion.